Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Or actually, good morning. Just 2 minutes past 12. Good afternoon, whatever. It doesn't matter. Time is irrelevant. I've got a little declaration of fact that I've plastered on my car, or my mode of transport, I've called it, because it's really a car, vehicle. You know, this is what they use. These are the words they use to driver. These are all the words they use to, you know, entrap you. But anyway, my declaration of facts, pure statement basically, and it says this: the declaration of fact. I, as a man, do not have a legal name. Any attempt to create joiner to a legal name that I don't own will be deemed as coercion to commit fraud with the penalty of perjury. Any creation of a financial instrument bearing the legal name or license name or any derivatives of will be deemed as fraud with the penalty of perjury. Any assumptions or presumptions made by other parties in regards to the legal name, such as police, governments, courts, etc., will be deemed as an attempt to coerce I, as a man, to commit fraud with the penalty of perjury. Any attempt to create a financial instrument against I, as a man, will be deemed as an attempt to coerce I, as a man, to commit fraud with the penalty of perjury. Any attempt to seize or tow this mode of transport will be deemed as stealing and unlawful. This mode of transport is private property, and any attempt to steal it will be an infringement on my right to travel freely. It is a lawful obligation of the owner of this mode of transport to notify principals or agents of government that this is the property of a man that has no legal obligation to identify him, herself, to any third party attempting to steal this mode of transport. Removal of this mode of transport from any and all positions it is found in will incur a $1 million reimbursement to the owner of this private mode of transport. It is the legal obligation of any and all principal or agents of government to identify themselves and to state word and verse the lawfulness of the actions to remove this mode of transport, and to provide a rightful claim to this private property. Failure to do so will disqualify any action taken against the owner. The reason why I've done that is because the only obligation I have is a lawful one. Because a legal obligation, I cannot have a legal obligation because I am not a member of the legal fraternity. I don't have a legal name, so there is no legal obligation on my part. There is only a lawful obligation, and within the confines of the law. We all know that there's many laws out there that don't actually apply to you. They're just policies, acts and statutes. None of them have the force of law or the rule of law. None of them, right? So, and when we argue the common law and everything like that, I'm sorry, but the common law is not what you think it is. You might argue common law and everything, but in these guys' eyes, the common law doesn't mean what you think it means. Okay? So, you know, we can argue all we like. We can be free men all we like, but we still get railroaded in bloody court. So the reason I've done this is because it is a lawful obligation for me to notify any of those agents of government that if they wish to unlawfully take someone's property that doesn't belong to them, which is stealing, right, which they could get done for because they've stolen someone else. It's like me coming into your house and saying I have a claim to that, to your sofa, and just walk out the house with it. What would happen to me? Well, you know, there is obviously repercussions to that. I mean, so I'm not using their legal system. I wouldn't be taking that person who stole my sofa to court. I would be sending him an invoice and getting it signed by, I don't know, whoever, a witness, to say that it happened. And they would pay me. It doesn't matter about the money. I don't want the money. This is the thing. I don't want the money from them. But once you put an invoice into their company, and if they throw it in the bin, doesn't matter. You've got a record of it. So if it ever goes to court, right, and they say it's not a legal notice, Well, what they've done then is disqualified any other notice they ever send to you. Because if you put it on an invoice paper or an invoice, say for argument's sake you get an invoice from your power company, if one person that you send an invoice to doesn't recognise it, it disqualifies any other notice that comes from anyone else, right? Absolutely. Because if they don't recognise notices, then why are they sending notices to you? They only recognise their own ones? Come on, it's ridiculous. So, you know, this is one way. This is one way, and I'm not telling anyone to do this. This is what I'm doing. This is my journey, but I'm just sharing my journey with you, right? Don't run out there and do things that you don't understand. If you don't understand who you are when you do this stuff, you're going to get screwed, right? I would say go off and find out who you are, and find out how much power you really have, and find out that, you know, none of these things apply to you. Point and fact, none of these things apply to you. Coming from anyone else outside of yourself, nothing applies to you, right? So by doing this, anyone, like a policeman, if he comes up to my car, I go, excuse me, sir, before we go any further, you have a legal obligation to read this. If he doesn't read it, I just drive off. Because if he stops me, I say, well, I asked you to read this. People will say, oh, well, you can't do that because he'll just arrest you. Good. I want him to arrest me. Because I have all the bullets. For me, I've got all my bullets. You know, they've got the gun with no bullets. It doesn't matter. They might have a real gun. Who cares? They're not going to shoot me just because I don't want to stop. Seriously, they're not going to do that. It's a minor infraction, right? Minor. But the penalty is just astronomically stupid. It's a minor infraction. So what? Someone's not driving with plates and a rego. So what? Is that going to kill anyone? No. I'm the person, if I'm going to be irresponsible, is going to kill someone. Not my car. My car is just the vehicle that I'm driving that will hit someone because I'm misusing and misoperating that car. It's responsibility on my part for me not to cause harm or cause loss or impede anyone's free will. And that's my responsibility, right? We all have a responsibility, you know, and by not taking that responsibility, that's up to you. If we're not going to be responsible, then just be aware that there are repercussions for your irresponsibility. But I'm not forcing anyone to be responsible. But why wouldn't you want to be responsible with other people on the road too? It just baffles me to think why people wouldn't want to do that. But anyway, this is my journey. Please don't do this if you feel it's not right or whatever, and you feel I'm talking shit. So what? It's great. I can talk whatever shit I want. But the thing is, this is only a lawful obligation and nothing else. But thank you everyone for listening. I know I rabbit on, but I'm just trying to get. I'm just trying to share my journey, right? You know, just whatever. You know, if people want to use this, people don't. It's up to them. Who cares? You know, this is free reign. You can do whatever you want with it. You can look at it. You can discard it. You can throw it in the bin. Who cares? So look, thank you very much, and I'll hopefully do another one soon.